Hello, YouTube.
Hi, YouTube.
Say hi, YouTube, Justin.
Played.
This list sucks. This list sucks. This list sucks. This list sucks. It sucks.
Hey, so I'm trying to remember now. I'm trying to remember now what I did last week. There was some word that got snuck in.
Wunderbar. That's what it was. You said wunderbar, and I listened, and it did get in there. And now you just said well played.
Yeah, and now there's going to be well played in there.
So you need to come up with some new catchphrase every time.
Every time. Hey, everybody.
Hey,
I'm Mike.
I'm JB.
Welcome back to This List Sucks. The infamous podcast where we're going through Rolling Stone's newest list of the 500 greatest albums of all time, just inching our way week by week closer to the halfway point and encountering, I'm assuming that you're going to agree with me, kind of shocking titles.
Yeah.
At the halfway mark.
Shockingly low and shockingly high.
Ooh.
Maybe.
This will be fun. I'm excited to talk about it. Admittedly, another really good week, in my opinion.
Solid week.
Yeah. Fun stuff, but also stuff that, the elephant in the room is that Wish You Were Here is this week, which fucking blows me away that Wish You Were Here is coming up. And we're not even at 250.
We're not even halfway. It is nuts. And we'll talk all about that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we know how this how this list tends to snub Pink Floyd. So
it tends to snub prog rock in general.
Yeah.
Prog rock has just been face fucked on this list.
Yeah, endlessly.
Super hardcore way. But we also have some albums this week that, in researching it and listening to it, had never appeared on the list previous to this.
Okay.
And
I'll be curious to see which ones those are.
I was shocked that they weren't on previous editions of this list.
Yeah.
It's just one record, actually.
It's not the Beatles, is it?
It's not the Beatles.
Okay.
It's actually Check Your Head.
Oh,
the Beastie Boys,
gotcha.
Which I'm super thrilled that it's on the list. It's hard to say it's my favorite Beastie Boys album, because now I feel really confident that there's going to be three. Like, now that I know that Check Your Head is on here, I'm pretty confident that we're going to see Ill Communication, and we're definitely going to see License to Ill.
That'll be the top one. Is Ill Communication, is that the one with Sabotage?
Yeah.
Okay. Got to have the one with Sabotage.
Yeah, that's
non-negotiable.
That's what I mean. Now, if I'm making this list, I'm gonna tell you right now, wherever Ill Communications lands, I'm gonna swap it with Check Your Head, because I enjoy Check Your Head a lot more. Not a lot. I shouldn't say a lot more, but all the B-sides on Check Your Head to me are more fun.
Yeah.
Than the B-sides on Ill Communication.
Well, I'll have to. I've not listened to Ill Communication all the way through, just the highlights. So, and neither had I on this one. Remember, I think we talked about that before.
So you had not experienced this record before?
No, and like most of the songs, like the vibe is familiar, but most of the songs I wasn't familiar with. I don't even know if I was familiar with any of the songs. There's like one or two that I've
Finger Licking Good.
Yeah, that's like a radio song, right? That was probably
What You Want. So What You Want is definitely that was definitely the single.
Yeah.
That was the big single on this record. But Finger Licking Good was also, and Finger Licking Good, most people recognize just because of the Reading Rainbow sample.
Yeah.
That's in it.
For sure. Yeah.
But listen, we'll talk about that whenever we get to it.
Yeah. There's a lot to talk about on that one.
Yeah.
So.
Let's talk.
Yes. Well, I hate to say this was my fault that we're doing Tuesday instead of Monday. Right after last week, we're like, all right, we're
gonna try and do Monday.
And I texted Mike and I was like, hey, listen, can't do Monday.
Dude, Thanksgiving. And listen, Thanksgiving was.
It was.
Yeah. It was tough because honestly, I had done all my cold listens, but I didn't actually start taking notes on any of this stuff until Friday.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. But see, you had to cram a bunch of stuff in around Thanksgiving. I got to just fuck off.
Got to chill out for a little while.
Yeah. Because I took off work early on Wednesday. I left work at noon on Wednesday, and I didn't go back until yesterday. So I had plenty of time to kind of squeeze shit in here and there.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, we made it work. Here we are on a Tuesday, so we're not super late.
No, we're not too bad. And again, fucking deal with it. It'll be all right, people. We'll figure it out. Just give us a little bit of time.
It'll happen.
And hopefully we'll do. And you know what? I was in Vinyl Cup because I hit the record store multiple times over the holiday weekend.
Of course.
And picked up amazing shit because it was record store day. It was Black Friday, record store day, Black Friday on Friday. And so I hit it then. I hit Vinyl Cup up on Wednesday, and Vinyl Cup was packed on Wednesday. And I went in there looking for, I don't even remember what the fuck I was looking for. I was looking for some new record. And I went in there and no, I did pick up Adele's new record, but I think I picked that up before the last show. Cause I think I was talking about that on the last show. At any rate, there were a bunch of people in there, and I just like, I totally chickened out. I should have talked to Luke about doing the live podcast, because I think it would be really cool. And I think he would be down for us to do a live version of the podcast in the record store. But I just,
maybe he's listening right now. He's like, pussies.
That's totally what he'd say if he's listening to it. He'd be like, God, you're such bitches. But one of these days, like I'll gird my loins and I'll just prepare myself, because I mean, you know how Luke can be. Like there's a part of me that I say that I felt like I'd be like, hey, Luke, so I mean, you don't really know me, but I do this podcast about records, and he'd be like, oh, really? All right, that's cool. And then I'd be like, what do you think about us doing a live version? He'd be like, I think that you're fucking dumb. Are you gonna buy this shit? Because if you're not, just get the fuck out. Yes, that's I mean,
what you're for.
Yes, that's your key. So for if the mic, because the mic doesn't pick up what you're saying. So Justin said, "Is that what a production manager should be?" So yes, of course, yeah.
And yeah, if you haven't noticed, production manager Justin Jant is finally back in the house.
Yeah, back in the house. It's been a fucking hot minute.
Yeah, it has been.
It's been a hot minute.
He's back in the hot seat. What do you say?
Thank you, Shane Parker.
Yeah. Shane Parker was taking over for a little while
filling in
as the co-production manager.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so record store day, Black Friday, all of us looked at the list and we were all like, Now you weren't even in town. Justin was vacationing out in the mountains, and so he didn't have a shot, but he did ask me to pick up a record that they literally had one copy of, and it was fucking gone. And I got there early. I was in line, but there was quite a few people ahead of me in line, and clearly somebody else wanted Chick Corea.
Chick Corea, that's what it was.
Yeah.
I knew you told me.
But I did, the stuff that I did pick up, I'm really happy that I picked it up. And I don't know that there's a whole lot floating around. They still have some copies of some of the stuff in at Vinyl Cup and down at
Some of the
Mars.
record store day stuff?
Yeah, they still have some of it. And honestly, they did a reissue of Miles Davis Live Evil. And that's a hot record, dude. Super, super hot. I listened to the first platter. I listened to the first platter the day that I brought it home. But then tonight, before y'all came over, I was spinning the second platter. And it's just, man, it's really, really good, because it's kind of the vintage of the Bitches Brew vintage.
Yeah.
But it's not, because it's not studio cut stuff. It's not quite as like kind of spacey and far out as he gets on Bitches Brew and all those sessions. But it's a similar sound, but it's him playing live
during
show. That era. Yeah. So it's really, really cool.
That is very cool. That's what I knew. I heard something like that when I called you earlier and heard in the background.
Yeah.
That makes sense now.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you pick up that Clifford Ball vinyl?
I pre-ordered it.
Okay, just pre-ordered it. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I honestly thought that they were doing pre-orders. That way they would just let as many people pre-order it as they wanted to.
Sold out.
Dude, I went out today and I saw that it was. So how many did they wind up? Okay. So production manager Justin says if Fantasy Tour site is correct, they're only doing a limited run of 7,000. And it's funny because that went on sale Monday morning at 8 a.m. So I'm in my office and it's on my radar, right? Because I wanted to get it.
7,000 for the single, 2,800
for the full set. Wow, man,
7,000 for the single, 2,800 for the full set. For those who have no fucking idea what we're talking about,
oh shit,
I should have mentioned. I should have explained that a little clearer.
Yeah.
Fish, our beloved Fish, played a 3-day festival in 1996, 2-day festival. It was their first of many festivals to come, and they apparently had good soundboard recordings of it, and they released it on vinyl. And it is how many discs?
12 platters
12.
because there's 6 sets. There were 3 sets on Friday, 3 sets on Saturday, so 12 platters, and then a bonus platter because they basically did like a hidden set where they loaded up all their shit onto the back of a flatbed pickup truck and like drove through the campgrounds playing like I don't know, probably like a half hour, 45-minute set or some shit.
There has to be at least one or more of those platters where one side is just one song.
Absolutely. The Reba.
Yeah.
Reba, because that's like a 16 or 17-minute Reba from the first day. That's definitely one side of a platter. And then from the second day, I want to, no, it's not the tweezer.
There had to be a long tweezer though.
No, the tweezer was only like 12 minutes. But the song right before tweezer, and I can't remember, maybe it's Run Like an Antelope. There's like a 15 or 16-minute song right before there that's obviously going to be one side.
Just one sider. Yeah.
But so I'm in the office on Monday. It's on my radar. I'm like, oh, 8:00 in the morning. I definitely have to, I got to get online because I want to get this thing pre-ordered because I didn't want to miss out on it. And literally like I'm dinking around talking with one of the other people in my office, and we're bullshitting about something. And literally I look at my watch and it's 8:28 and I just scream, fuck. And I like run into my office, get out to dry goods, and luckily I got one.
Scored one. That's awesome. I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna come over and listen to it.
That's what I was gonna well, and Justin and I have already talked about that. Like listening party. Yes. Absolutely listening party whenever it gets here in fucking 12 months from now. I mean, I guess 3 months from now, but whatever.
It feels like 12 months.
It's gonna
feel like 12 years.
12 months, yeah.
Yes.
So, all that being said, I hope that everybody got out and supported their local record stores on Friday. If you weren't, gallivanting in the mountains, and
we hope you all had a great Thanksgiving as well.
Oh yeah, Thanksgiving was great. You had like
you all ate
like
many
15 turkeys.
We had, I think it was 23 turkeys at our house. Yeah, on Thursday. So, 3 of which were dead, and we ate. So yeah. Had to do it.
Nice. That was well played.
We did have 3 dead turkeys.
3 dead turkeys.
No live turkeys.
No live
The other
turkeys.
25, yeah.
Yeah, they were all just foul.
Yes.
Or poultry, not foul, I guess.
Too much turkey though. Probably going to end up throwing some of that away because I still have quite a bit left of it in my fridge. And I think at this point, it's the 5th day since Thanksgiving. I was thinking about that earlier. I was like, should I freeze some of this tonight? I think it's too late. I went ahead and ate some. So hopefully I'll be okay.
Yeah, we only had one bird. 9 people, I think, came over. So we didn't have a huge crowd or anything. We had one bird, a handful of leftovers. We did take the carcass, as we do every turkey, and every Thanksgiving and Christmas, we take the carcass and we make bone broth.
Nice.
At like 48 hours on the stove.
How much did you get out of that?
3 big mason jars.
A gallon mason jars? Or
no, not a gallon.
Gallon?
Probably 1 quart.
Oh,
so
the big. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so we got like 3 quarts out of it.
Nice.
And we freeze it, so next time we make like noodles or something like that, we always use it. It's fucking delicious.
Very
really,
cool.
Really good.
Yeah.
And by Friday night, the only thing that we had in terms of leftovers was we had 1 slice of pecan pie left, which quickly disappeared into my mouth. A little bit of a sweet potato tart that Genevieve made that was fucking delicious, like pecan crust with this. It was almost like a pumpkin pie type of texture, but made with sweet potatoes and nutmeg and cinnamon. It was fucking really, really good.
Yeah.
We had a couple.
Was
of
it intended to be
left.
A dessert or a side?
No, absolutely a dessert.
Because sometimes you get that sweet potato casserole, and it's like served as a side, but it really comes
with
across,
the marshmallows and stuff on. Yeah, that's a dessert, right?
Comes across as way more of a dessert to me.
That's super desserty.
It always gets served up with the rest of the food, though.
Yeah,
for whatever reason.
No, we do sweet potatoes, but my mom typically makes a sweet potato. She makes them in a crock pot with butter, brown sugar, some cinnamon, nutmeg, just goodness,
Classic.
But she'll cube them. But they're nice and soft.
I love those.
I love them too.
Katie will make those just like that too.
They're my fucking absolute favorite, dude. Butter, brown sugar, and sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong.
People that don't like sweet potatoes are crazy, in my opinion.
Listen, I didn't like sweet potatoes for a really long time. If you're not into sweet potatoes and you need like a gateway drug to get into sweet potato fries.
Oh yeah.
Those changed my life, dude.
Yeah.
Like the first time I had sweet potato fries, I was like, wait, this is what these fucking things taste like? What have I been doing?
What have I been doing my entire life?
Where the fuck did I go wrong? is clearly not enjoying sweet potatoes.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, we had like 3 different types of stuffing and then a couple of different types of potatoes. And we had leftovers of all that, but by Friday
they were
was
gone.
Yeah. I'm a huge stuffing fucking freak.
Well, we have 2 people that live at my house, and one is me, and one is my girlfriend. And we had about 15 people that came over, or a little bit more, I think, for lunch. And everybody insisted on leaving their leftovers. So
That's
needless to say,
insane to
I'm going
me.
to throw some food away, and I feel bad to do it, but
Yeah.
I should have started freezing it earlier. I had big ambitions, and it did not work out.
Or what you
eat the
do,
food, I mean.
Or what you do is what Genevieve does, and that's it. She goes out, she buys some like a big package of the cheap like Tupperware, or not Tupperware, but like the cheap kind of Ziploc
Little plastic,
little plastic containers. And when people start leaving, she's like, "Okay, here you go."
Take
and they're
it.
like, no. And she's like, "No."
She's like, shut up and take the goddamn Tupperware.
Yeah, but it does help to kind of ensure that, you know, food doesn't get wasted or whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I will take a page out of Jen's book next year.
Yeah. You just force it on people.
You are not leaving this house without taking some goddamn food. You're going to like it too.
That's right.
That's what you have to look forward to. Guests who come to my house
take
next
it
year.
and like it. So with that being said, what do you say?
Yeah, let's dive in. Not a lot of new music to talk about, so we should probably just dive into the stuff for this week.
Or do we have enough information to make an editorial comment or a programming comment about next week's episode?
We can hint at the possibility of it.
Yeah. There's a good chance that if we're going to have live guests on the next list related episode, we might end up delaying it because I do have to travel next week. And we're pretty certain that the next 5 albums, we have some people that requested to come on. And we want to accommodate that. But selfishly, I would like to be in person whenever we have guests. The only guest that's not such a big deal with is Justin Handel at this point, because like we all know each other well enough that I think we can make a 3-way Zoom work, but
definitely can.
It's more challenging, you know.
But yeah, so we're not going to take the week off. We're just going to do a bonus episode instead. And we're talking about topics, kind of getting them narrowed down. One of them will be a Christmas episode, as we did last year.
Yep.
Because we need another chance to break out our Christmas theme song.
Uh-huh.
Yep. But yeah, so taking a little break from the regular list next week. So
yeah. Now, with that being said,
let's dive in.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 265 is what we're on now. At 265 from 1995, we're back to Pavement, this time with their album Wowie Zowie. Rolling Stone says the 90s indie rock princes took everyone by surprise by mellowing out for their 3rd album. Wowie Zowie is a kaleidoscopic mix of ideas, the sound of noise guitar dudes kicking back for some summer fun. Pavement switches gears with every song. From the ballad We Dance to the pop punk spritzer AT&T to cryptic blurts like Fight This Generation. As Stephen Malcolmus explained, quote, "We did neuter many of the silly things about rock, but we still embraced a lot of them too, because we're party kids and we like a Bo Diddley beat."
Bo Diddley beat. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, so would you all right. Nice. I guess that is the Bo Diddley beat, huh?
Yep.
And that comes from the song titled Bo Diddley, right?
It's a Bo Diddley. I don't know if it was titled that.
No, because he did have a song on that double album that we did.
He had a self-titled song.
Yeah, it was a self-titled song on his self-titled album.
That's a bold move. He's like, you know what? This song is Bo Diddley. It's on the album Bo Diddley. It's by Bo Diddley.
There's only one man with balls to do that.
Bo Diddley. His balls are legend.
Okay, so what do you say? What'd you think about it?
I like this one. This one had the a couple of the Pavement tunes that I knew kind of before diving in to this list. We're just indicating to production manager it's something very production related, so don't worry, guys. This is a technical.
I can do makers too if you want. Well, I'm just looking at how much is left in there. So if you want to do the makers, we can do makers. All right, whatever you want to do.
It's production stuff.
I know.
Okay? It's important production stuff.
We're producing a good show.
Okay. This one had the Pavement tunes that I knew. compared to the other one. There weren't that many that I knew before we got into this list, but the ones that I really liked and were from this album, and they're actually deeper in the album, which is weird.
Yeah, I had none for me.
None on this one, or none on either of the Pavement albums. None at all. Okay,
I'd never listened to any Pavement before we got to what was it? Crooked Rain.
Yeah,
Crooked Rain, Crooked Streets, or something like that.
Yep, and that was like 100 albums ago.
I think it was more than that.
Was it more than that?
Yeah, I
think
it was
a long time ago.
I think it was right around 450, like maybe
Holy
like 440, 445, something like that.
So it was like 200 albums ago almost.
I mean, now that you put it like that, that does seem strange, but yeah,
it does. We've covered almost 250 albums on this podcast. That seems nuts. It is.
It's a lot of
It's
a lot of records to listen to, but yeah, I enjoyed this one infinitely more than what I enjoyed the first one. And the first one that we listened to was a double album, so
it was long.
Yeah, it was long, and I felt like it could have been edited down. I didn't feel that way about this one.
I like the guitar styles a lot on this album. It's almost always like a juxtaposition of like a clean lead guitar and like a dirty rhythm guitar and a dirty bass a lot of the time too.
Yes.
Not every song, but a lot of the times the bass was pretty fuzzed out.
Yep.
Which Mike's coming around on.
That's what I was just gonna say. Like the more fuzz bass that I'm exposed to, the less it seems like a gimmick, and the more that I find it to be a texture no different than you can create a texture by distorting a guitar or by throwing a reverb or a phaser or anything else onto a guitar tone. And I am now team, let's just warp the fuck out of a bass tone. Let's make it
up.
Yeah, let's make it as weird as we possibly can just to create some type of wonderful texture to it. All right, so I definitely want to talk about songs that hit you versus songs that hit me, because you made the comment that a lot of the songs that you enjoyed were on the back half of this album. And just in going through my my totally arbitrary star system, a lot of the stuff that I liked, I think, was actually on the front half of the album, with the lone exception of Fight This Generation.
Okay, what were the ones that you liked? Let's hear them.
So Rattled by the Rush is a fucking great song.
I liked that one. I gave that 3 stars.
I gave it 3 stars as well. I really like We Dance. The very first opening track. Like, I loved it.
Yeah, it was a cool like acoustic guitar tone. Kind of reminded me of Down by the River by Neil Young. If you go back and listen to it, you might hear what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
and right off the bat, I was like, they're playing Down by the River.
I gave that one 2 stars though. Like, I dug it.
I love the guy's voice, the lead singer's voice. I just really like it. I like when his voice has this like cracky quality to it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Which for some reason, usually I don't love that kind of thing, but with him, I like it. You don't like it?
I don't hate it.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of like you. My initial, when you get kind of that cracky type of voice, is, I mean, with the lone exception of John Lennon, I love John Lennon's howl, right?
Yeah.
And his voice just totally fucking breaks apart whenever he howls.
Oh yeah.
But I love his howl. But
Yeah.
for the most part, it, like, you gotta be kind of a special thing where that's really your shtick and you do it really good for me to like it.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. You know what I mean? I don't hate it in the context of Pavement, but it's not anything.
It doesn't stick out to you. It's not like an appeal.
No.
Yeah.
No. But it's not a detraction either. You know what I mean? It's not a distracting thing for me to the point that it's off-putting, but it's also not anything that I necessarily, love and adore.
Voices can be, to me, like, it can be make it or break it. As we talked about last week with Toy Story guy.
Oh, fucking Randy Newman. Yeah.
Like I really loved a lot of his songwriting, but the voice just kind of ruined it for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm kind of weird about voices. Sometimes it'll really help me, like it'll really further my enjoyment of a piece of music, and sometimes it'll just do the opposite. It'll almost make it impossible for me to just relax and enjoy it.
Yeah.
I
loved Grounded. I gave Grounded 4 stars.
That was another 3-star for me. I liked that one too.
Yeah.
I liked Father to a Sister of Thought a lot. That was the highest starred song, like on the first half of the record for me.
What did you give that? Did you give it
that
4
was
stars?
a 4. Yeah.
I gave that 3. I love that too. The slide guitar on there is fucking Really,
Was it a
really
pedal
cool.
steel or was it a slide?
Okay, so I originally was thinking that it was pedal steel, but I actually think that it was a slide. I'm gonna defer to you, right? Like if you say no, fuck you, I really think that was pedal steel, I'll go with it. Because
I'm not going to assert it either way. I wrote down pedal steel in the
Did you?
moment, but I don't know. I'm looking back to see. Okay, so it is pedal steel.
it is okay.
Yeah, when I look on the personnel, Doug Easley was an additional musician that played pedal steel on Father to a Sister of Thought.
It's really cool. Like it's got a little bit of a country flair to it, and that's all the pedal steel, right? The pedal
Yeah.
steel almost instantly makes anything that it's in sound country. But
Haunting
man,
melodies, though, gorgeous guitar tone. Like I love the clean tone of pavement.
mhm.
Like the guitar set is always playing clean. I don't know if it's the leads, if it's Stephen Malkmus or who it is, but there's one that's always playing clean and the other one's playing super distorted. And
like ridiculously distorted, right?
yeah, pretty heavy.
Because it's just like this big, thick 90s kind of classic distorted guitar sound
Yeah.
that you got all across the alternative music spectrum.
Yeah, it's like heavier than most other music from this time. I feel like because 85 is that really what
95.
Oh yeah, it's like terrible handwriting is what it is. But I was like, there's no way this is 1985.
Right there, or right before Father to a Sister of Thought, what did you think about Motion Suggests?
I gave it a star. I liked the organ on it.
I loved so was it an organ or was it a synth? I loved that there was kind of I wrote gentle warbling, and I loved that. Like,
Yeah.
I really, really liked it.
I think that was like an organ with a Leslie, or it was like a synth that was simulating that.
Simulating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And that I buy. And the really wild part about that, and I think the reason why I loved it so much is because right before that Serpentine Pad song, it was just like super short and fucking as punk as you can possibly get.
Yeah.
And then you flip over into this just crazy, like warbly, synth laden.
And it was like
tune.
kind of a circusy intro too, like a chromatic. It was a huge contrast from Serpentine Pad,
Yeah.
which I liked Serpentine Pad a lot too.
It's all right. I like when they get really, really punky. That's to me where I start to say, if I want that type of music, I'm gonna go to a different act. Does that make sense?
I hear you. Lyrically, it's interesting album lyrically. I remember reading on the Wikipedia, or maybe it was on the Rolling Stone description, that it was like cryptic lyrics. And I'm listening to this like, are these cryptic or do these just mean nothing? I'm thinking the latter. I'm thinking these guys just wrote whatever the hell they wanted. That's probably what it was.
Yeah, because some of it is just pure fucking nonsense too.
Yeah,
especially some of it. Grave Architecture, I put a couple stars next to that, and then Fight This Generation.
Fight This Generation. So you like that one? That was like the one that really stuck out to me as being a like noise rock. A lot of this is actually kind of noise rocky. There's a lot of noise rock on this album.
Yep. Is Chewy over there bothering
It's
you?
poster.
Oh,
almost ripped my cable open.
nice. Hairless cats are creating havoc around the podcast tonight. At some point in time, one of them will jump up onto the table and just wander through the scene, I'm sure. So
That's okay. We invite it.
Western Homes, the very last track. Super psychedelic, really spacey, cool textures for me in there. I thought it sounded a lot like The Clash.
Yeah.
And anytime I make a comparison of any band to The Clash, that's solid.
Yeah. I wrote, is this a cover on the Western Homes at first? Because it just didn't feel like a Pavement song, but it wasn't. It was an original.
Yeah.
It's like a straight up blues rocky kind of tune, but with a shit ton of effects on it.
Just a ton.
Yeah. On
ton.
several different instruments. So the tunes that are by far my favorite, and probably my favorite Pavement song in general, is Pueblo. Like the 16th track. Fucking love that song. Love the odd timing on the chorus. I love the vocals on it. I love the little guitar riff, the little guitar lead. That's my favorite Pavement song for sure. And then Half a Canyon, I loved that next one as well. There were a lot of cool that was a longer one, kind of different sections to it that ended in another one of those noise rock jams like in Fight This Generation.
Okay, so that one's fascinating because that one I did read. It's 6 minutes long, right? So I mean, it's
Half a canyon.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's a lot of noise rock, and that's really what it is. But that song in particular, all of those lyrics are just total bullshit.
Yeah, I'm
They
sure.
were literally they were just added to have vocal texture to that song.
Interesting.
Just
Yeah.
fucking word. It's word salad.
It's just it's just vomit.
Total nonsense. But they wanted something on there vocally.
Kind of
So
like
that's what they added.
kind of like I Am the Walrus, right? Except for that was like did John Lennon write that because he thought that people were analyzing Beatles songs and stuff? I remember reading something about it.
Yeah, it was basically like a snub. Oh
Yeah.
fuck. Speaking of which, and I don't want to get too distracted on this. Have you started watching Get Back yet?
I have. We should have talked about that.
Fuck,
Yeah.
I know. Listen,
Are you into it?
God damn it, dude. I haven't finished the whole first episode yet.
Me neither. I'm about like maybe 3/4 through the first episode or 2/3.
Yeah, I'm probably at the exact same spot. I'm at the spot where George is introducing I, Me, Mine to them. But the part before that whole segment where they were showing Paul basically write Get Back.
Get Back. It was super cool.
Fuck, dude. That was
It was really cool to just see it happen because I mean
Jesus.
he basically started with nothing. He's like strumming a bass
Nothing.
note and he's like
Well, like a bass chord.
Yeah, he was doing a lot exactly.
He was doing
strumming-
a lot of like thick chord strumming, and it was nonsense. But then as he started to go, you were like, oh, I know this song.
And I wonder, do you think he was actually playing a lot of chords, or was he just doing that because he was sitting there by himself and he wanted to get the sense of more than one note and how the vocals would sound against that?
I think in later Beatles stuff, he was doing more bass chord stuff.
Yeah.
I do think that he was. Anyway, we'll talk about that more whenever we finish through it. Yes.
Yeah, the new documentary just came out.
Okay, so thank you, Justin. So it's available on
Disney Plus.
Yeah, on Disney Plus. Peter Jackson sifted through all the hours that were recorded while the Beatles were prepping for the show, basically writing the music for what would become Let It Be. The band was also they were starting to fracture and they were starting to come apart, and you see it's really wild.
You see it, and you see like different schools of thought between the members, and you see like why their ideology is changing. But also, I guess I always had this image in my mind that John Lennon was kind of like the divider, and that he was kind of the domineering, really vocal member.
By that time,
and maybe it's just not by that time, but like he almost didn't say shit like throughout the entire documentary that I was watching. He was just sitting there very calmly. He was the most even-keeled, level-headed, agreeable one of the entire group. Like they would run into some kind of problem, and Paul would just like throw kind of a bitch fit, and John Lennon's like, "Well, we'll have to deal with it," basically.
And then poor George Harrison would just be like, "What do you want me to do?"
Yeah, that was so funny.
And Paul would be like, "Well, you got to figure it out." And he's like, "Listen, Paul, you want me to play? I'll play. You want me to not play? I won't play.
It's like, I'll do whatever makes you happy,
Just
Paul.
Whatever you want me to do." And Paul would just would not let it go. He would just be like, "Well, you got to do something, man. You got to do something." "Paul, I'll do whatever you want me to do." "Well, then do something. What you want me to do?"
Yeah, it was funny.
I mean,
Paul was definitely
like
kind of being. I mean, I can see his point of view a little bit because at the time, the other guys in the band were just like, well, let's just jam on it, and it's going to come out. Whatever needs to happen is going to happen. And Paul's like, "Fuckers, we got 12 days," and he was right. They don't have a long time to just like jam and let the songs develop organically. They had to kind of go into it with some intention, and that was when he was like, "Fuck this, I'm just writing a song," and he like wrote "Get Back."
Okay, so let's get back to the list. But speaking of Get Back, like it would be really cool to do an entire bonus episode about the documentary.
I was literally just thinking that. Yeah.
Okay, great minds think alike.
Let's do it.
So, okay, so you loved Half a Canyon, and Pueblo.
Pueblo by far my favorite Pavement song. I just love everything about it.
I'm gonna have to go back and listen to it.
Yeah. You should definitely do that.
This is okay. So I'm probably rarely, if ever, I'm going to be honest, I'll probably never go back and revisit that.
Crooked Rain Vultures.
Yeah,
one.
the Crooked Rain Vultures one. I won't do that. I will absolutely go back and revisit this one. I really enjoyed this album. I enjoyed it a lot. It was kind of
good.
Everything that I kind of like about mid-90s music.
Yeah,
You
like
know?
solid 90s alt rock.
Yeah.
It's not really grunge.
No,
you
it's
know.
not grunge. It's definitely it's like, this is kind of Godfather OG alt.
Oh yeah, that's exactly
my
what I would
mind.
call it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about the placement?
Do you think there needs to be 2 Pavement records on the list?
No.
Yeah, that's kind of where.
And I definitely don't think there needs to be 3 Pavement records on the list because Lee Stamper has already spoiled for us that there is a third.
Wow, I wouldn't have thought that. I don't
Basically,
believe saying that.
their entire discography is on the list.
Oh, they're up there with Big Star.
Fucking goddamn. Much better than Big Star.
Much better.
For me, though, this record probably should come in. I mean, I would be okay with this record being somewhere closer to 350.
Yeah, that's kind of was my immediate gut reaction too. It's going to be harder for me to make that decision until I really listen to that third Pavement record. Now that I know that that's on there, which I did not know, but it makes sense that this one's higher than the other one. I'll say that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Or it was just Crooked Rain, Crooked Rain. Where did we get vultures from? We both said the word vulture. But that was the first album was Crooked Rain, Crooked Rain.
Yeah, probably. Either way, yeah. And I don't hate Pavement. I don't necessarily understand why Rolling Stone is so in love with them either.
They really do love them.
Yeah.
Funny little side note. I don't know if you know this. I found out today. So Bob Nastanovich, who was a member of Pavement, he still is. He was the percussionist. He lives in Des Moines.
What?
Yeah.
No fucking way.
He does. Yeah.
Hey, Bob.
One of my students knows him. And I was telling him about the fact that we had Pavement on the list. He's like, oh yeah, Bob lives here. He's a really cool guy.
Fucking A.
Yeah. Apparently
That's
works down
awesome.
at he's super into horse racing. He like owns several horses, like thoroughbred horses.
So like some Prairie Meadows type shit.
Yeah, he's
is
like
what he's into.
I think he like spends a lot of time down there, and maybe he's
Wow.
even like involved with them somehow.
That's awesome. Fucking good.
Yeah.
Good on him. Listen, I want to see this record on the list, which is probably not quite this high.
Sorry, Bob.
Yeah. I mean, nothing against you, Bob. Like, it's a great fucking record.
It is very
and let's
good.
be honest. Even if I said,
It's
Bob,
supposed to
your
be
record should be
500.
500.
Yeah.
Would you fight? Are you going to be mad?
No.
Like, you're
yeah.
literally being called the 500th greatest album of all time.
Yeah. And I think, I want it on here for sure. And I'm excited the other one must be really fucking good.
I mean, I would hope so because I really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this one. So let's
Should we
move
get
on
into
now.
the next one? Yeah. Let's
please
talk
do.
about this next one.
Yeah.
It's egregious placement on this next one. At number 264, we have Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here. Our first Pink Floyd entry
Yes.
on here.
Yep.
I always get confused because we did a bonus episode on animals, which is not on here. So
Yeah. I mean, it's literally, this is going to be one of 2 records.
Just 2, 3.
No.
3.
Yeah, definitely 3.
The Wall and then Dark Side.
Definitely 4 then.
Because Thoughts Are Full, probably.
No.
Piper.
We've both. I thought that we had both cheated. It's actually coming up, dude. It's like right around the corner.
Oh, it's Piper at the Gates of Dawn, right?
Piper at the Gates of Dawn is like 254, 253, something.
Okay,
like that.
yeah, we were together when we looked down the list.
Yeah.
So yeah, there has to be 4 then, because The Wall
Which-
has to be on here, right?
Listen,
There's no fucking way Dark Side of the Moon isn't top 10.
well, I mean, definitely. I don't know that they're going to give it that much love. I would say it has to be in the top 50, maybe in the top 25. I'm not saying where I would put it. I'm just saying like where I think
Sensing
Rolling Stone
another
is going to
bet.
put it. But yeah, Piper at the Gates of Dawn is kind of, it's shocking to me that they put that on there, but they wouldn't put Animals.
That's their debut, right? Piper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Sid Barrett.
It is shocking, although it was a pioneering psychedelic rock record.
Yeah.
For sure.
But anyway,
but
let's read
this
the
one,
description.
Wish You Were Here. Yep, from 1975. For the follow-up to Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd got even darker, exploring their main themes of lunacy and alienation. The poignant title ballad is a lament for their ex-bandmate, Sid Barrett, one of the 60s saddest acid casualties. They pay tribute in Shine On You Crazy Diamond, a 26-minute, 9-part suite that both opens and closes the album, with David Gilmour's elegiac guitar. They also skewer the music business and have a cigar and Welcome to the Machine.
Where does this fit for you in the pantheon of Pink Floyd albums?
I mean, it's hard not to say that Dark Side is probably my favorite. It's one of my favorite records for sure. Probably in my top 20 records of all time. I'd have to say. I wouldn't be surprised if this also breaks that though.
Yeah. Same.
This is probably my second favorite.
Mine too.
Okay,
Mine too.
I think I like this better than The Wall personally.
Yeah. It's more concise.
It is. It's 5 songs. Well,
Yeah. I mean, no, it is 5 songs, right? Maybe only 4 songs, it's like 4 ideas, if you will, broken out into 5 songs. But I mean, the songwriting it's concise, and yet you're talking about 13, 14-minute songs.
yeah.
But they don't feel like
I mean, the
that.
first and the last are definitely. The middle ones are about like 6 minutes each or so, 5 to 6. This is my most heavily starred album I think we've had like on the podcast. I'm just gonna come out and say it, dude. Every song is a 5 stars for me on this.
So the only ones that I didn't put 5 stars next to are Have a Cigar and Welcome to the Machine, which I put 4 stars next to.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, still tons of stars, but yeah, I had to give Have a Cigar is maybe one of my favorites on here. I have to say. That's like, I love that song. It is so good, dude. That synth line, just the main yeah, so amazing. I love the guest vocalist on that. They have Roy Harper coming in and sing.
Yeah, because that was supposed to be David Gilmour.
Yeah,
which I thought was kind of fascinating, but then they didn't like how it sounded, so they brought in guest vocalists. Wish You Were Here, I didn't realize that the very first part of Wish You Were Here, where it sounds really, really distant and kind of out there, and there's that whole radio tune in and everything.
Yep.
So that was actually recorded in David Gilmour's car.
Was it? I didn't know that.
It was that was literally them tuning in his car radio, and then they morphed that into the track that ended up playing through the speakers until the guitar solo kicks in.
Yeah, yeah. He like finds the song on the tuner, and then it kind of eventually, achieves full fidelity.
Correct.
Yeah,
with that initial guitar solo. It's fucking beautiful.
It's an amazing song, amazing lyrically, amazing. That acoustic guitar riff on "Wish You Were Here" is one of the most iconic acoustic lines ever written. It's right there with or maybe even above. You have to tell me your opinion. Like right there with "Over the Hills and Far Away" acoustic lyric.
Yep.
I mean, these are just some of the most iconic. Yeah,
Harvest Moon is the one that I really think about from Neil Young. When I think about "Wish You Were Here," I almost instantly think about Harvest Moon because they have kind of a similar feel. Harvest Moon is more upbeat in nature, just lyrically and everything, because it's almost kind of a love song of sorts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this one's obviously like much more melancholy in nature, but
it's just like Pink Floyd is like the rock music version of like 1984, things like that. I mean, they're all dystopian songs basically, or they're like fuck music business songs, which is like what Welcome to the Machine is. But I mean, that's basically what Wish You Were Here kind of comes across,
Yeah. I mean, it's I don't know. It's astounding. Shine On You Crazy Diamond, both parts, both the intro and the end. They're just lush with texture and sounds, and the way that they incorporated all of the synths onto the bass, onto the vocals, it's just fucking genius.
Yeah, synths really all over the place on this, and really tastefully done.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like sharp, high, aggressive synths on "Wish You Were Here" or on "Shine On Crazy Diamond."
Mm-hmm.
And there, even in "Wish You Were Here," like there's I wrote down at the end there's some synth work that I kind of forget about often. I usually think of it as just like an acoustic song, but it really isn't. Like the full band comes in at the end. There's this big synth line, which I don't even think I remembered.
Yeah, I wrote minimal synth, but the sparseness of the sound, it creates depth and longing.
Yeah,
for me, like that's what it does, and it's just fucking unbelievable. Like that, the lead solo at the beginning of "Wish You Were Here," like it carries so much just emotional weight.
Oh yeah, and just the use of space. Fuck, it's almost like 4 separate solos because of how much space is between them, but it's like so done so well. You know?
The way that he's holding individual notes, the way that it's It's just stunning. Just stunning.
Yeah. Just peak,
The last part of Shine On You Crazy Diamond on the 5th track, you get this really fucking cool jam about 2 minutes and 30 minutes in. You get all these layers that come onto the jam. I love the bass and the drums in that midsection. It gets really dark around 6:30.
super dark. Yeah.
And it's just, it's a mastery.
It just everything on this record is a mastery to me. This is let's talk about placement because this is fucking crazy low. This is a top 100, maybe top 60 album, I would say.
I'm all on board with top 100. It should fit somewhere between 50 and 100, and to me, Dark Side of the Moon needs to fit somewhere between 1 and 50, and I'm not going to get too persnickety about that, because even if I could see you arguing that if it came in at number 41, you'd be like, fuck you, this should be number 9, this should
Dark
be number
Side?
8. Yeah, I could see you making that argument, and what I would retort back is, dude, you're calling it like the 41st greatest album ever made.
Yeah.
Made.
But I think it's higher than that. I mean, I think that
I think you're probably
it's
right.
like unanimous, I think that Dark Side is probably, I mean, I bet I would not be surprised if it's in the top 10. I would be shocked if it's not in the top 20. I'll say that. I'd be really surprised.
I'd be really surprised.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that I would go so far as to just say like horrifyingly shocked, but I'd be pretty surprised if it's not top 20.
Yeah. But this one should be top 100, no doubt.
At least. Yeah. And you were saying top 60. If you put it at 75, I'd say, yeah, that's about right. But it is, it's amazing to me too, that they made this after they made Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, talk about the perfect opportunity to just shit the bed and have like the ultimate letdown album.
That's true.
And fuck off if they didn't. I mean, they released an absolute.
That's like a year or two later, right? Because when was Dark Side? Was it 73?
72, maybe?
72?
I think it was 72. Because they did a big tour after that too.
73.
Oh, wow.
March 73, so it was recorded 72. And less than like 2 years later, they're like, here's another one. It's good, one of the best of all time for sure.
Here you go, boys. And then 2 years after, and then 2 years after this, in 77, they released The Wall.
The Wall. Yeah.
Double album.
Yeah.
Have fun. Pa-ching.
God, these guys are good.
Yeah, they're pretty good. All right. You want to move on?
Let's do it.
It's been a hard day.
We don't have any Rex to read today. Yeah.
Oh.
So just looking.
Rexy Poo.
Rex.
He'll get back to us.
He will.
He always does. He did move into a new house.
I just think he would have had some interesting things to say about Wish You Were Here. I would have loved it.
Yeah, I would be curious to see his thoughts. We'll get him. We'll get him eventually.
We will.
All right. Next, from 1964 to 63, the second Beatles in like 5 albums.
Yeah, because last week we had Get Back.
Yep. No, we had
Help. Rather.
We had Help. Yeah. Okay, so this week we're going to be talking about Hard Day's Night by the Beatles from 1964. Rolling Stone says, this soundtrack to the Richard Lester film cemented all that U.S. listeners had heard about the Beatles' genius in the off-kilter beauty of John Lennon's If I Fell and the rockabilly bounce of Paul McCartney's Can't Buy Me Love. It was their first album of all original material, showcasing leaps in their songwriting, as well as new tricks like George Harrison's 12-string guitar, picked up on a tour in America, and the Dylan-esque harmonica blast that opens I Should Have Known Better. Can we start with I Should Have Known Better?
Yeah, sure.
What do you think?
Let's talk about it. I wrote that I actually don't mind the harmonica that much on this one.
Really?
No, it wasn't too bad. It felt very intentional. Again, I'm just to reiterate, well, not unintentional, but just like where it seems like an afterthought. If it seems like it's like, what would be really good in this one spot is a harmonica and nothing else, because we're just trying to feature the harmonica. Then I'm like, okay, if it works, But what I don't like is where it's just like we need something else to throw on top of this shit.
Just a texture.
Yeah.
You don't like it as a texture, but if
I don't like afterthought.
Yeah, if it seems like they wanted it, because this definitely they definitely wanted the harmonica.
They wanted it, and this to me is acceptable. I will never go as far as to say necessary harmonica, but it's acceptable harmonica.
I mean, you fucking jaded me to the point that I didn't really like the harmonica.
I ruined it.
But I am going to take umbrage with Rolling Stone talking about showcasing leaps in their songwriting.
Yeah.
Because
that is an interesting way to put it with Hard Day's Night.
I mean, these songs are are fucking really just simple.
Yeah.
These aren't like
It's posse Beatles. It's simple. It's simple, like remnant of 50s rock kind of thing.
These are like 4-chord songs.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 chords.
I like this album because it's the Beatles, and there's a lot of songs on it. There's maybe half the songs on it that I really do like, and there's a lot that I'm just not. It's not my favorite version of the Beatles for sure. And I feel like maybe if I didn't have other Beatles to listen to, I might be like, yeah, these are really good songs, you know. But for the time period, you know. But just the fact that I've seen what the rest of the Beatles is like, it's just. I mean. But at the same time, this is necessary. You have to have this stage in the Beatles' career in order to get what you got later, you know?
You do. I just question whether or not we need to celebrate this stage of the Beatles' career.
I mean, there's stuff to celebrate on the record, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard Day's
Night is a fantastic
Hard
song.
Day's Night's a great song. Can't Buy Me Love, great song. I put 4 stars next to both of them.
I put 5 next to Hard Day's Night, and then I put 5 next to And I Love Her. And those are my only 2 5-star songs and by far my highest rated tracks.
I gave 3 to And I Love Her. That's a fucking beautiful song.
It's an amazing song. I've always loved that one.
The guitar work on it is spectacular.
And so they're like, when you talk about leaps and bounds in their songwriting, I think that is a great example. That's probably the best example of the leaps and bounds in their songwriting on this entire album. And I love her. It's just more interesting. I mean, the rest is like you said, it's just like 3-chord 1, 4, 5 basic pop tunes with like generic lovey-dovey lyrics, you know. Whereas, And I Love Her, although lyrically it might be kind of similar to that, there's just a lot more going on. There's a lot more changes, a lot more vocal harmonies that they're kind of messing with. Dark minor kind of haunting feel to it. Great guitar solo on it that like really goes along with the chords nicely.
Yeah.
I think that kind of shows what a little bit of what comes later.
And the foreshadowing of what comes later, I won't
because I don't know
with
like
that at all.
With like songs without And I Love Her, I don't know if you get like Eleanor Rigby. I mean, I feel like there's
I
some
totally
similarities
agree. You see the flashes of what will come. You know, you really do. And I love that. But at the same time, this to me is very similar to Help. And I'd have to go back and re-listen to the episode of last week to see where I wanted to put Help. I'm pretty sure that I wanted to drop it fairly significantly.
Drop it. Yeah, not off the list, but down.
No, not off the list, but I want to drop it down quite a ways. And I feel not as strongly about this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this is definitely a better album than Help in my mind.
And Help came after this, right?
It did. Yeah. But I don't necessarily man, I don't know that I want to see this north of I don't know that I want to see this north of like 350 or 375.
Really?
Yeah. Just because it's just so it's so basic. And I get it. It's the Beatles, you know, and I understand that this was where they started off at. And I'm not saying that origins are not important, but I just don't know that. I don't know that this should sit here when Animals is not on this list. I don't know if this should sit here when Alice in Chains doesn't have an entry at all on this list, or Tool doesn't have an entry at all on this list.
It's just
or
the
fucking
influence,
Fish,
right?
for that matter. Like Fish doesn't have a fucking album on this.
This is 64, though. I mean, you got to think about influence, right? I mean, it is simple, but was it at the time? Not as simple, you know. I mean,
what do you think about this relative to Aftermath, which was an album from the Rolling Stones released, I think, in the exact same year? I think Aftermath was from 1964 as well.
Have we had that Aftermath yet?
Yeah. Aftermath was like tall 300s.
So what's on Aftermath? What were the highlights? Do you remember?
Paint It Black.
Okay. Yeah.
And Paint It Black, like, if you think about that in terms of complexity and just interestingness of the song, that fucking song is way more interesting than And I Love Her and any other fucking song on this record.
I don't know about And I Love Her. With the rest of the songs on this record, I'll agree with you.
I threw that out there just as that was clickbait, dude. And you totally took it.
I bit right into it.
Bit it hard.
I think I do like this one more, I will say. But
Do
it's
you
just
think
because I
so?
like the Beatles a lot more, you know. And I love the
I do
Stones. You know, don't get me wrong. I'm a big Stones fan. But
No, I like the Beatles more than the Stones too.
Yeah.
My point is just that even if you were talking about the importance of it in terms of origin, I feel like they're giving this more love because it's the Beatles, not because it's really
that very
a
well
much
could
better
be.
record.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. It does make sense. And I think that could definitely be a huge, it is a huge factor in their placement of it on the list.
It is.
And of all the records, you know.
Absolutely. And that's what I take a little bit of umbrage with, because I get that it's a Beatles record and I understand the importance of the origin and everything, but I still think that you need to weigh each album on the merits of the album itself, not necessarily of the artist, but on the merits of the album.
You know, and as much as I'm, you know, not into like filler songs, because there are definitely filler songs on this album for sure.
There's a lot of them.
But like, if you release an album and it has Hard Day's Night and Can't Buy Me Love on it, it probably is going to be on the greatest albums of all time, just because of those two songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but think about Surrealistic Pillow.
Yeah,
another album that has two really great songs on it.
Yeah,
Somebody to Love and White Rabbit.
Yeah, and then several other really good songs
too. 461.
Yeah, that was crazy low though. That was a huge snub at that point. In my opinion.
No, I mean we both agreed on that. We both agreed on that. But this is a great album. This is not my favorite era of the Beatles. For me,
neither. No.
For me, the Beatles become great with Rubber Soul, and then from Rubber Soul,
well, not on the list, but next after this, right?
No, Rubber Soul would have been after Help, and it would have been after Yellow Submarine too, right?
No, I thought Rubber Soul was right after this. I think it was Revolver after that, wasn't it?
Revolver is definitely right after Rubber Soul, but there's no way that they did Rubber Soul before they did Help.
I'm gonna find out right now.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, never mind. You're right. So it was Beatles for Sale, and then Help, and then Rubber Soul, and then Revolver.
Yeah. And so to me, the Beatles, like Rubber Soul, because Rubber Soul, if you consider this to be, leaps in songwriting, fucking listen to this and then go listen to Rubber Soul, and you'll be like, whoa, what the fuck happened to these guys? I'll tell you, it was drugs.
It was LSD.
The drugs happened to them. So, but yeah, all that being said, it's a good record. I just don't necessarily want it this high.
Yeah. I think I'm with it. Let's drop it down a little bit, but obviously it needs to be on the list, right?
Yeah. I'm more than willing to keep it on the list because it is a great record. To me, it's not 263 great. Just like Help wasn't 267 great or 268 or whatever the hell it was last week.
What about Let It Be though? Should that be higher than these?
Fuck yes.
We both said that about Help.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, that's what we said about Help, was that I wanted to switch places with Let It Be.
Yeah.
And then we said, well, let's talk about Hard Day's Night. So actually, yeah, Let It Be should be 263. And to be specific, not Let It Be Naked should be 263. Fuck Phil Spector's version of Let It Be. And then, I'd probably put Hard Day's Night around 300. And then I would put Help somewhere around 350. And I don't think that's shitty. I don't think that's like a massive snub to these early poppy Beatles records. I think it's just more realistic of where I think they fit in the pantheon of things.
I wonder, do you think so? Nothing before this is going to be on the list, right? Like chronologically.
No, this has to be the
first one, because Please Please Me or With the Beatles are not going to be on there.
No,
right?
No. Because honestly, most of those early records weren't even original material. A lot of those were just covers, I believe.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I'm looking into
it. Well, because it says right here, it was their first album of all original material. So they had originals on their previous records, but they also had covers mixed in on their previous records too.
I'm looking at Please Please Me, which was their first one, and it looks like it's all... Oh, no, that just says vocals. It doesn't say...
Correct. Not the songwriting.
Well, okay, let me think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 covers on that first one. And then the rest were original. So they did have some. It is kind of crazy to me that Please Please Me is not on the list, actually. Like, I saw Her Standing There. You have Please Please Me on there. You have Twist and Shout on there.
Not theirs.
Not theirs, but their version is the most famous version by far, right?
Of Twist and Shout?
Yeah, the Beatles version.
Isn't that Chubby Checker?
No. It was Phil Medley and Burt Russell that wrote it.
Well, they wrote it, but who made it? Who made it really famous?
For sure, the Beatles.
Really?
Yeah, that was like the song where
Twist and shout.
that was like the song where there's that famous video where you can watch them playing live and you couldn't hear
Because it was
them at
just
all
screaming.
because of the girls screaming and stuff. Yeah. It's a fun tune. But
It's
yeah,
a
I mean
fun
it's not
tune,
my
but-
favorite Beatles by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, mine neither.
Let's move on.
Let's do it. Let's talk about New Order.
New
'Cause
Order.
I'm just not sad enough.
New Order, Power, Corruption, and Lies from 1983. So we can make Mike a little sadder. On Power, Corruption, and Lies, Manchester, England's New Order fully moved past the death of Joy Division's Ian Curtis to create a gloriously danceable synth rock breakthrough. It was a whole new sound, heavily influenced by their early tours of America. In England, clubs played dead straight cheesy music, said frontman Bernard Sumner. But in America, they played the Clash, funk, and a great mix of black and white music and American dance music, early electronic music. We were right there, and this new sound found us.
I hear all that, right?
I hear all of that. This album is all over the place. There's genre-wise, there's two big ends of it, in my
Mhm.
opinion, but it's pretty eclectic.
It is. It is. I didn't know what to expect because I'd never really listened to New Order.
I expected punk for some reason because of the name of the band, Punk, or because of the band New Order.
I guess I expected more. I expected more dance type music. Does that make sense? And it's not that there wasn't dance music on here, because there is. Like, there's definitely some dance music, but I guess I was thinking it was going to be almost more of like an EDM type of precursor is what I was thinking in my mind.
You don't think there was EDM precursor in this?
I mean, a little bit.
I guess I felt that way a lot. Like on a
Really?
couple of the tunes. Yeah, when I said a second ago that there were like two big ends of it genre-wise.
Mhm.
One of them was like straight up techno. And then the other end is like early version of indie pop, in my opinion.
What were some of your favorite songs? And
Okay.
for the record, there's only 8 songs on this whole album, and I put at least 1 star next to every song. So it's not as though I thought some of these songs were just fucking garbage and not good. But there's also very few songs that have more than 1 star. Does
I
that
put
make sense?
a star next to every song except for Leave Me Alone. And 2 of the songs had 3 stars.
Which ones?
The Village. I loved that one. So that was like one of the techno beat ones for me.
Yep.
Pretty happy and upbeat.
Definitely
great use of
electro pop.
synths.
Definitely electro pop. Yeah.
Great use of synths. I loved the vocals on that one. Great drums. That was one of the highlights throughout a lot of these tunes was the drummer. Fucking
Yes.
great.
Yep.
Cool effects like bassy synth effect on the bass guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Loved that one. And then I loved 586. Is that what it was?
Yes.
Okay.
Those synths at the top of that are chunky, dude.
Yeah, cosmic, dude.
They're really cool. And the bass on that, like around the 4-minute mark, it goes into a really fucking cool bass line.
Yeah, there's like a little bit of a break, like a fade out, and then
Mhm.
there's like it's almost like a choir, but it's like buried and reverby, and it leads into a new feel with
Yes.
that amazing bass and a great like a house beat techno jam. Plenty of layers of synths.
Yeah, a ton of synths over the last 2 minutes, and I really, really dug it. And then it kind of closed. Like there was this like weird kind of slowdown. It wasn't weird. There was like this slowdown at the end of the song that I dug it. I thought it was really rad.
Yep. So I was a big fan of
put 2
those
stars
couple
next.
songs.
I put 2 stars next to 586. The Village, I just gave 1, but I did note that it was more of a happy song. You know what I mean? Definitely kind
Much
of
more
an
upbeat and
electro-pop.
happy because a lot of them were not. You know, like the very first one. The first one was kind of synth poppy, so there was like some definite like 80s synth pop. I hear like War on Drugs a little bit, like had to be influenced by these guys.
Yes.
I would say.
Yeah. I actually really liked that song. So there were 2 stars and 2 songs that I gave 3 stars. One was Age of Consent and the other one was Leave Me Alone.
And I gave that one 2 stars. I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, Age of Consent and Leave Me Alone were kind of similar.
They were and that's why I liked those 2 the most, because they created bookends. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? They created bookends that the band was able to kind of weave in and out of some of these other genres throughout the rest of the record. But if you listen to just those two, they do sound very similar. And I think that they kind of cement at least a foundation of what you're going to hear, even though they meander in and out. Like that's the foundation of what this band is in my mind.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Ecstasy, I liked that one a lot. And I got a lot of the techno feel from it. Like, I really did not know what to expect from this, because of the name and the album cover. I mean, look at the album cover. I would not expect it to sound the way it does for some reason.
I know. And weirdly, this week, whenever I was in Marv's on Sunday, walking through, picking up some records, they were actually playing this record.
Were they really?
Yeah. And so it was cool because I walked in and I was like, is this fucking New Order? Like I look over and Jake was there working. He's like, yeah. And I was like, fucking A.
Probably the only one to identify it that day.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, it probably was. Okay. Are there any other songs that you want to talk about?
Nope. I think I said we talked about most of them. And
Ultraviolence, like there was some Talking Heads influence in there that I kind of I heard a little bit of Talking Heads in there.
You definitely hear a little bit of post-punk.
Yeah.
And new waviness to this. More new wave than post-punk.
More new wave than post-punk. But I mean, now that I'm going back through my notes, listen, I made this shitty comment that and EDM to me is not electronica. Like I do think of those two as like two distinctly different musical genres, because EDM to me has like almost a hip hop type of, it almost has like a hip hop influence to it that electronica doesn't have. Like electronica more harkens back to kind of like an 80s dance type of feel or like a house type of feel.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And I mean, just in looking back through my notes, like I wrote the word electronica
quite a bit.
Yeah, quite a few times. So maybe I'm just full of shit on myself. What do you want to do with this thing though?
I think it's too high, but I liked it. Honestly, like I added this to digital and I'll listen to this again. And if I can find it on vinyl, I will. I think that 350 is a good spot for it.
Yeah, I would pick it up on vinyl. Yeah, I'm not against 350. Like, or if it rolled back to 375, I'd be okay with that. Probably don't want to put it north of 350 though.
I feel like I liked this more than the Joy Division that we had.
Oh fuck yeah, dude. Yeah. Joy Division
didn't bring you joy.
No, not at all. But since we're doing this, do you own A Hard Day's Night on Beatles on vinyl?
I don't.
I don't either. I would buy it though.
Yeah, you got to have it. I mean, I'll have it eventually.
Production manager Justin does.
Yeah, Justin does.
Is it vintage too, you bastard?
You have multiple copies and you're going to give us some?
Yeah, you have 3 copies, I thought.
3 copies of Hard Day's Night?
Wish You Were Here. I have that on vinyl.
I fucking don't think I do.
Oh, you fucking son of a bitch. Go get a reissue. You can fucking buy it at goddamn Urban Outfitters for fuck's sake.
I think I only have The Wall and Dark Side from Pink Floyd. I don't even think I have Animals.
You don't have Animals?
I even have Saucerful or Piper.
Fucking savage, dude.
I know. I'm fucking up.
Jesus.
Yeah, I need to get in there. Yeah.
And then Pavement. I don't have that on vinyl.
I don't either.
I wouldn't be against. Again, like relative to the first Pavement record that we listened to, I would pick up Where I Was At on vinyl. I'd do that. All right.
It'd be so cool to have like a separate shelf with all 500 of these. Wouldn't that be fucking cool. Rad?
Fuck
just have it.
That'd be baller as fuck, dude. You had them in order and everything.
Yep. That would be dope.
Squad goals.
Wherever the list vinyls are.
I don't want to own that. There you go.
I'm gonna you mean just like put an empty red sleeve in?
For fuck that list.
We're gonna finally compile all 500 of these, and then they're gonna release a new list, and it's not gonna have any of the same albums. It's gonna be like, turns out music has evolved.
That's right. Okay, so now let's talk about if you're ready.
I'm super ready. Let's do it.
Let's do this. Okay. The last album we're going to talk about this week, released in 1992 at 261, the Beastie Boys album Check Your Head. Rolling Stone says, on Check Your Head's Professor Booty, Mike D raps the Beasties mantra, life ain't nothing but a good groove, good groove. The trio returned to their rock band roots for their third album, playing its funky, punky, spunky beats themselves. They channeled John Bonham's booming drums on So What You Want, Black Sabbath's guitar growl on Gratitude, and Bad Brains' hardcore spirit on their surprising Sly Stone send-up Time for Living. They also explore lounge lizard jams and psychedelic jazziness, introducing backward ball cap alt rock kids to new worlds of sound.
Nice.
I love that description.
Yeah, that's great.
And I think that description fucking hits the nail on the head. So we talked about this a little bit at the top of the show, maybe before the show, maybe all around the show. I cannot begin to express how much I love this record.
Yeah.
And revisiting again, just man, it's so much fun.
This is fantastic. This was my first listen to this, and I'm more of a Beastie Boys fan now, and I was before, but I've not done the Beastie Boys like full albums before. Like I said, any of them. Like the Beastie Boys tunes that I know are the radio songs.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
and that's that.
And I love this because, like I said, if you go back and listen to Paul's Boutique, which is a great album, go back and listen to License to Ill, also great albums, but that was Rick Rubin trying to Beastie Boys to a point where I think they could take a risk like this, which is Mike D gets on the kit, MCA grabs the bass, and then on later records on License to Ill, he actually works the stand-up bass a ton on Ill Communications.
I was gonna say, wasn't License to Ill the first?
Yeah, that was their first. So on Ill Communications, though, he does a ton of stand-up bass work on that album, which is really fucking fun. But then add rock on the guitar. And also, did you, in doing the research on this, did you pick up on who played the Wurlitzer?
No.
Because there's fucking Wurlitzer on almost every fucking track on this record.
Who played it?
So Money Mark is the guy that played the Wurlitzer on this whole record. And honestly, like that texture, if you took the Wurlitzer out of this, fucking no bueno.
Yeah.
What'd you bring me this for?
That's Ill Communication, Beastie Boys?
Yes. And actually, I was
so that Sabotage is on there.
Yeah,
right?
Sabotage is on here. And I was actually spinning this earlier tonight.
Nice.
And actually, right down there in the lower corner, you got fucking MCA pumping away
on the stand-up
bass.
I'll have to take a closer look at that a little bit later.
Yeah, it's really, really good. But this Check Your Head, unfortunately, I don't own Check Your Head on vinyl yet. I'm gonna rectify that fucking quickly.
Dude, I love this. Like, there are lots of stars on my page. Like, I was surprised how many good tracks they were pumping out, and there's like 20 tracks, right? On this?
Yeah,
something like that.
All right, so hit me. What do you got? What are your favorites?
I mean, there's a lot that have 3+. Okay, so Funky Boss, second track, had 4 stars for me. It's super short, but I love it, dude. I love the little guitar riff that's on it. It's like pretty much a headbanger guitar riff. There's a lot of the headbangerness going on, like almost heavy metal combined with rapping, combined with funk.
It's funk.
It's like heavy metal rap funk. It's like what it is.
I mean, if you think about it, without records like this from the Beastie Boys, I don't know that you came in the late 90s, where you started to get white boys rapping over metal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the Limp Bizkits of the world and the Corns of the world.
We could have done without. Yeah.
I mean, sure, we could have done without all of it, but you know what I mean? Like we
couldn't do without this.
Yeah, no, you couldn't do without this. Jimmy James, though, like that opening sample, it's so much fucking fun.
That song was tons of like record scratching. I liked that one. But yeah, I mean, immediately right after it, I loved, like I said, Funky Boss, Pass the Mic, another 4-star tune for me.
Yep, same here.
Loved it.
The fucking flows on that are really, really good, dude.
Great verses.
Unbelievably great verses.
Great bass line.
Yep.
And just the way that it's like a DJ formula song, the way that they pull the bass line out and they drop it back in.
And then they drop it back in.
It's fucking great. Gratitude, Lighten Up, both 3-star songs for me.
Yep.
So What You Want, 4-star.
I gave 5 to So What You Want.
Did you?
Yeah.
I only have 1 5-star on the whole thing.
Ooh, which one did you give it to?
It's gonna be a surprising one because it's an instrumental one. In threes, the second to last song. That's a 5-star song for me.
Oh,
What
I
did you
love
write
it
about
though.
that?
Dude, yeah. No, I actually love it. It's so weirdly disjointed though.
It's a weird time signature, and the way that they cut out, there's like these odd little breaks, and they go back into it. I don't know how.
Is that like a 7/4 time signature? Because it was a combination of, it had to have been like a 3 plus a 2 or a 3 plus a 4. Does that make sense?
I'm like playing through it in my head right now.
I know. Well, and as I was listening to it, like I was trying to count it out, but as I've talked about on this show, or I've talked about this with you, I've talked about this with my sister, who's a fucking master at figuring out. I'm terrible at trying to figure out time signatures. I'm horrible at it.
Well, it's like one of the instruments is holding down a steady dun dun dun, but
Like
then
a
the bass
4,
is
right?
like dun 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 dun.
I felt
dun,
like the
dun,
bass was
dun.
what was working in threes.
Yeah, yeah.
But everything else was running like a standard kind of 2/4 or 4/4.
I didn't actually try to count it, but I'll pull it up and I'll sit down and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Let's follow up with that. Okay, so right before in threes, one of 2 5-stars on here. And for the record, every song I put a star next to, including the fucking skits, because there are skits throughout this record that are only like a minute long. But normally sometimes I don't even write down the names of skits, or I'll just write down the name and I'll be like, skit, like fuck off.
Yeah.
Especially on hip hop albums. But dude, this one, like the Biz versus the Nuge. So that's literally a sample of Biz Markie over the top of a Ted
guitar.
Nugent. That's Ted Nugent.
Oh, is that
dude.
what that is?
Look at the writing credits. Yeah, the writing credits on that are Biz Markie and Ted Nugent.
Fuck Ted Nugent though.
I know.
But
yeah,
I like
fuck
Big
him.
Markie.
He's an asshole, but it's genius.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's an interesting combination.
But then like 2 songs after that, The Blue Nun, which The Blue Nun is literally just a skit.
With like a radio announcer voice, right? Like narrating a guy's life or his evening or something.
He's narrating a dinner party.
That's what it is.
Right?
Yeah.
The evening began in Peter Seychelles' comfortable study.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's like, and then they're talking about wine. So the name of this song is The Blue Nun. The Blue Nun is actually a wine.
I didn't look it up.
It's a Gewürztraminer wine.
Okay.
And the CEO of Blue Nun in 1992, whenever this came out, do you know what the gentleman's name is?
No.
Peter Seychelles.
Okay.
It's just so fucking good, dude.
That's hilarious.
And then the very end of that clip, it does go well with the chicken.
Yeah, and then it goes to the right to the next
Thank
song.
you again, Peter.
That's funny. I didn't know that. I think I would have enjoyed that more if I read into that like that.
It's just it's fucking smart. Like it's so smart and it's so clever. But the 2 songs I put 5 stars next to, So What You Want, because that song is great. Although Finger Licking Good right before that Reading Rainbow sample and Finger Licking Good is
What was the Reading Rainbow sample?
That kind of flute type of line. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'd have to hang on.
Because we can't play it because we'll get taken off YouTube, right? If anybody's listening.
I don't want to get kicked off of YouTube, but I want you to hear it only. I'll play it just for you.
Just for me. Nobody else listen. Everybody close your ears.
Right there.
I wonder, did they modulate the tunage at all, or is that how it sounds exactly?
No, that's how it sounds.
What was the clip at the end? Was that Bob Dylan at the end?
I'm going back to New York City because I do believe I've had enough. Fuck yeah, it's Bob Dylan.
I thought so. Yeah, I was like, sorry, is this really Bob Dylan?
Yeah, it's fucking Bob Dylan. But I do love Finger Looking Good. So What You Want?
Me too.
But the all-star for me on this record is right before N3's Professor Booty.
That was so much fun too. That was a 3-star for me, but I loved it.
I fucking loved it. That has to be one of my favorite intros of all time. Like that sample from whatever movie that was, where he's like, yo, I heard she been giving that shit out to all them graffiti guys.
Yeah.
Yo, shut the fuck up, Chico, man.
Yeah.
I paid 3 noodles for some of that ass.
I wonder what movie that is.
I wonder what movie that is too. But then when it's all, Professor, what's another word for pirate's treasure? Well, I think it's booty.
Yeah.
Booty. And then it drops into really, really fucking great flows and great rhymes. And it's just, God damn.
It's everything you love about Beastie Boys.
Everything you love about Beastie Boys. Fun samples, like fun music, but the instrumentation through all of this is spectacular. The Wurlitzer, again, is the fucking MVP. Because if you go back and really listen to it, if you removed the Wurlitzer, you'd be like, this is missing something.
It would be lacking.
Yeah, it would be lacking huge.
It's great though. Yeah, I mean, I added this to digital, and I would definitely do the vinyl on this one for sure. Like, I'm even more, like I said, even more of a Beastie Boys fan. Not that I wasn't. I liked what I had heard, but what I had heard was fairly limited, fairly pedestrian, listening. Whereas this, like, I don't feel like most of these songs the average person has probably heard that's not into the Beastie Boys or that's not into this style of music from this time period.
Yeah, and I couldn't have said it better myself, right?
Yeah.
Like if you were into it and you knew about it, you fucking loved it. And that's how it was, like I kind of ran with kids that were.
You were into this when this came out?
Fuck yeah, dude.
I was one.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And it sticks with you, you know, even to the tune that like I probably stuck with the Beastie Boys longer than what I needed to. Because by the time that you get to like Hello Nasty and to the Five Boroughs and stuff like that, it's not that it's bad, but it's just not. It doesn't have the same energy that that Paul's Boutique, License to Ill, Check Your Head, and Ill Communications had.
Yeah,
because they got super fucking successful, and then it just lost a little bit of the edge. For me, I mean, this record's got to move up 100.
100. Holy shit, dude.
Because I would legitimately place Check Your Head above Ill Communication.
But not above License.
Not above License only because of what License to Ill did in terms of like
influence.
Yeah, and even just like Rick Rubin. You know what I mean? Like Rick Rubin was doing a ton of fucking production, right? Like he's a huge producer and he's produced a fuck ton of really, really great artists. But what he did with the Beastie Boys, particularly on License to Ill, the sound that he made.
Pretty unique. But you like this one more or no?
Than License to Ill? No, I probably don't. Actually, yeah. Listen, musically, yeah, I like it more. Because they're playing their own instruments.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's something we didn't really talk about that much. But
every drum beat that you hear on this record is Mike D.
And it's fucking good. It's really, really good.
Fucking good. It's funky. It's weird. Distorted bass.
Yeah, distorted bass. Plenty of the fuzzed out bass.
All over the place.
Plenty good guitar playing as well.
Yeah, dude.
And that Wurlitzer, dude.
And you got to listen for the guitar because a lot of the times the guitar gets lost within the Wurlitzer.
Unless it's super prominent, like in Funky Boss.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we didn't even mention this yet, but there's like a couple just straight up funk rock or just funk tunes, like instrumental tunes, like Meters-esque funk tunes, like Pow and like Groove Holmes. Live at PJ's even really, which is a little bit more of an edge to it,
Yeah, a little bit more of an edge. And there's lyrics in there, but I mean, literally in Pow is the only fucking lyric in that whole song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just right in the middle.
And Groove Holmes is like straight up like a Meters tune. Like if you told me it was Meters, I'd be like, well, it sounds different, but I can hear it,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And at the very end of that, when after the recording cuts out, one of the guys is like, we never did the thing. And I wonder what the thing was. The other guy was like, yeah, we did. And then it just cuts out.
There was another one that I made a note on, like at the tail end of the song.
Was it the reggae at the end of Funky Boss?
No. Oh no. It's at Pass the Mic. At the end of Pass the Mic, they go, yo, you think we'll ever meet Stevie? And I fucking love that line. They're talking about Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
It's so good though. But then you get broad diversity in there too, because you get a whole lot of like Meters-esque funk. But then if you listen to Something's Gotta Give, like that's like a really mellow kind of spacey.
Yeah. So what I wrote on that was like, I wrote For Living, which is like a punk song, like a straight up punk song.
Well, it's a punk song with Sly and the Family Stone lyrics.
I didn't know that.
So, and actually the punk song is a cover because that song was written by, I thought I made notes of it here. Frontline. Okay, so the music is a cover of a New York punk band by the name of Frontline. That's where the music comes from.
And the lyrics is a Sly and the Family Stone song.
It's Time for Living. We fucking had that on.
Yeah, I didn't make that
on that-
connection. Maybe I just couldn't hear the lyrics because they're like it's pretty aggressive and loud and
Fuck
screamy.
yeah,
you know,
dude. Absolutely.
rattly bass that's almost like covering up everything else. It's like a hardcore punk song.
It's a
basically.
hardcore punk song.
It's like a Black Flag-esque kind of punk song.
Yes.
And then the very next song is Something's Gotta Give, which I was like, what a contrast. This is like a Bill Withers funk song.
That's
you know?
right. It's
like a soul funk song.
and you get that type of wild juxtaposition all throughout this record. And again, to me, that's what there's a lot of genius in here.
This one's really good.
Yeah.
Check this one out, guys. Especially if you're not as like just like me, not super familiar with the Beastie Boys in general. I mean, you know their normal shit. You know the stuff that everybody knows, but you haven't like delved into their catalog. What?
Yeah.
That's License to Ill. Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? Like everybody knows Fight for Your Right to Party. Everybody knows No Sleep Till Brooklyn. I think most people know Paul Revere. And that's where it becomes a challenge for me. And I'm not going to fight to have this be higher than License to Ill, because where the rubber meets the road, the greatest song that the Beastie Boys have ever recorded is Paul Revere.
What about Sabotage?
No.
I think Sabotage is my favorite Beastie Boys tune.
Do you know Paul Revere?
I think.
Here's a little story I've got to tell about three bad brothers you know so well. It started way back in history with
like
Ad
you're
Rock,
singing
MCA, and me, Mike D.
Like the Fresh Prince intro.
It's so good. And actually, like super funny story that I'll tell again whenever we get to License to Ill. But Bonnaroo 2011, I got to see the Roots at Bonnaroo. And the Roots, that was the same year that MCA died. That was the year that Adam Yauch passed away. And so they opened their set by covering fucking Paul Revere. I thought I was going to either shit my pants or my brain was going to explode. Luckily, neither happened. But that cemented my
Hopefully it happened in the other order if it did happen.
If
so
it
that
did
way your
happen.
brain would not be there and you wouldn't be worried about the pants shitting thing.
But I do like Paul Revere will always be my favorite Beastie Boys song. What was that? Are you kidding me?
You're
Production
fucking with
manager
us.
Justin just said that License to Ill is not on this list.
You're fucking high.
Really?
Yeah, okay, good. But that can't be true. That has all the famous Beastie Boys tunes on it. That has all the most.
Is Ill
famous
Communication on the list?
ones. Are you sure it's not the other way around?
Wow.
I'm surprised.
Fucking wow. Man. I mean, I believe Justin. I don't want to. Fuck, I don't
want to either. I don't ever want to believe Justin anymore. After that.
You know, maybe we'll have to like revisit some snubs whenever
Yeah,
we
because
get closer
that'll
to the
be a
top,
huge
'cause
fucking snub.
That's a huge snub in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's a fucking massive snub in my opinion.
That's a weird decision by the list makers.
Super weird.
The almighty list makers.
And I will tell you right now, wherever Ill Communication is, because Ill Communication, I could see them putting that pretty high. I would want them to swap this. Also, for the record, this did not appear on the original list from 2003 or on the list in 2012. This is the first time this record has appeared, and it's appearing at 261.
So that's the one you were surprised by, was that this wasn't. We talked about that at the top of the show.
Yeah.
I can see it though.
Yeah.
It had its time to kind of marinate a little bit.
And that's what I was going to say. Like, I'm glad that it's receiving. I'm glad that it went from never appearing on this list to 261, because that's a big dick move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To drop this thing in at 261
Yeah.
as a first appearance. But I'm glad they gave it love, because I mean, it's a really, really stellar fucking album.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to get it on vinyl, because I only bought Ill Communication on vinyl maybe 4 months ago, but I probably spun that vinyl 5 or 6 times. And this is one that I would do the exact same thing with. You know what I mean? Like, easy just to throw on if you're cooking dinner, doing whatever, just fucking throw it on and jam out.
Absolutely. Agree 100%. And I'll get it for sure.
Yeah.
And
Good.
I need to get Ill Communication as well.
I'm so happy for you. Like, I'm glad you found it, and I'm glad that you enjoyed it.
I love it.
When I was going back and listening to it, I thought 2 things. I thought, A, I wonder if JB had any experience with this record. And then B, I was thinking to myself, man, I hope that he fucking digs all of this funk.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
I absolutely
And you
did.
did. Yeah.
And we had a commenter, and at first I was really confused because it says Mike Sisko, and it says JB is wrong, Paul Revere is GOAT. And I was like, Mike, are you really commenting on this as we go? And I'm like, that must be Mikey Sisko. Mikey, you need to call yourself Mikey on YouTube.
Thank you for listening, son, and thank you for backing me up about Paul Revere being the GOAT.
Yep,
because it is.
Okay.
I did it like this. I did it like that. I did it with a baseball, or no, I did it with a wiffle ball bat. So I'm on the run. The cops got my gun, and right about now it's time to have some fun.
I've heard it for sure. Well, no, I'm not telling you to shut up. I'm just saying you asked if I'd heard it, and you've reminded me that I've heard it. Yeah. No, but seriously, no, I'm just kidding.
I'll stop. Should we talk?
Let's preview.
Yeah, we'll preview. It's not.
But
it could very well not be next week, but the next time that we visit the list.
Yeah, it'll be probably 3 weeks from now because we're probably going to do 2 bonus episodes.
Yeah, probably do a couple of bonus episodes around Christmas, a couple around like the greatest of all time type of thing, and then we'll get back to it. Ideally, I mean, I think we have 5 weeks left before the end of the year. It would be nice if we got to the halfway point by your birthday.
We can probably do that. So yeah,
I think so too.
Yeah, that'll be a goal.
Yeah, squad goal.
My birthday is coming up. I'm turning 30 years old. Can you guys believe that shit?
Fucking ancient bitch.
I know. See, that's how I feel. I feel like an ancient bitch. Yeah.
It'll be awesome though. We got your birthday present.
You did?
Oh yeah.
What is it?
We're not gonna fucking tell you.
Oh, you motherfuckers.
Bitch.
Cool. I will be then.
You salty bitch.
Right.
Okay, so the next time that we come back to the list, we're going to be talking about at 260, the 1979 release from the Slits entitled Cut.
I love that band name, the Slits.
I do too. Have you listened to that yet?
No.
Dude, that's fun.
None. You have? Nice.
I've cold listened to it. I cold listened to it once and then I actually enjoyed it so much
Is it
that I've gone back.
Post-punk?
It's like early, it's like really, really early alt is really what it is. It's like
Cool.
all girl alt.
Right on.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
Yep.
259, shockingly low to me, Janis Joplin Pearl.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Right there with you. 258, 1975, Joni Mitchell's released The Hissing of Summer Lawns.
I'm excited because I haven't really delved into Joni Mitchell's albums that much. Have you?
Yep. No,
Yeah.
neither have I.
But everybody loves Joni Mitchell. So 257 is Dolly Parton, Coat of Many Colors.
It's a fucking rock star album.
You think it's the only one from Dolly? Has to be, right?
Absolutely, because if you remember, like earlier, a long time ago, many a episode ago, we talked about country snubs.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And
we did.
And
There's
this list
any.
is almost vanquished of most country music.
But Jolene's not on this one, right?
No, it's not. It is not. Although there is a song in here called Travelin' Man, which might have some of it's like typical kind of country music, so it's a little bit heartbreaky, but it's also kind of funny.
Dude, I'm like reading through the descriptions, and yeah, on Travelin' Man, it says that Dolly Parton's mom runs off with her boyfriend. It says on If I Lose My Mind, her boyfriend has sex with another woman in front of her. That doesn't sound like Dolly Parton to me at all.
No, but if you listen to it though, like I'm excited for you to listen to it.
I think Dolly Parton's some kind of weird cuckold fetish or something because like you look at those two songs and Jolene, I mean
all right.
It's gotta be what it is.
She could be. The last album that we're going to be talking about the next time we return to the list, and we're going to call this Ladies Week. Yes. Because at 256, we're going to be talking about Tracy Chapman's debut album from 1998, eponymously titled.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you say that?
Yeah. I'm
trying to use a 10-cent word here.
Yeah, eponymously. That's correct.
Good. I successfully used it. So yeah, so the next time we come back to the list, it's going to be Ladies Week. I think we're going to have some guests on there, but we've got to get that figured out.
As long as scheduling allows,
yeah,
we will have 2, maybe 3, maybe 5 or 6, 7 or 8 guests on that podcast. Yeah.
I mean, we're going to We're gonna try and see how many people we can pack around.
We're gonna see how many people Restream will let us add. So if you want to be added, you send us a message.
Yeah, exactly. But then after that will be the last episode before we get to the halfway mark, and
Yes.
and there's some heat. I mean, honestly, these
Ooh.
next 2 weeks, like we got. Yeah, I know.
Oh my God. I'm
Yeah.
reading through it.
Yeah, dude.
And I've read it before. I'm just reminding myself, and holy shit, that's gonna be a week.
There's heat, dude. There's heat coming
Yes.
up. Which is
We might have to have our friend Justin Handel join for that week, I think.
Yeah.
For 255 through 251.
Yes, very possibly.
Yes.
As long as we can make it work with him. This is fun though, because we're getting. I hope that every time we do this, like when we kind of peek ahead, like 1 or 2 weeks, we just get like more and more excited.
Yeah.
And we almost have to, right?
Yeah.
Because we're starting to
That's
really
how it
get into
works.
the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
So this is fun.
This podcast is finally getting fun.
It's finally not sucking.
We've trudged it
as
out
much.
Yeah.
we've slogged our way through the first half of this piece of shit, and now we're getting to some gold. So
Indeed.
thanks for listening though, everybody that does listen.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. As always, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week for a bonus episode. Soon to be announced. Maybe when it happens.
Maybe right when it happens.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
This list sucks. This list sucks. This list sucks. This list sucks. It sucks.
Bye-bye. What did we clock in at?